Hi, it's Rosie from RoseByNameCo. I do have a new journal to show you, so thank you for coming by and seeing what's happening on my channel. This one was a custom order. It is sold and it is going to be going away. This one is called Wildwood. Very wild, woods, all that kind of stuff. We do have a 6x6 journal. It is hardcover chipboard and does have a beautiful tassel, all in kinds of, woodsy colors, earthy tones, and so on. It does have a chain here with some beads on it or charms. It does have a little birdie and a feather, and it does have beads over here that I have from a sari. They're very beautiful, just in the colors that I want them to over here. Match that exactly. And we do have a little locket here as well. I will open it in a minute. And I also have a little mushroom charm here that just goes perfectly on the bottom here. So in this little locket, I do have the name of the character in the book, so there is a little story in this one as well, and her name is Ruby Starling. And however, the owner can change this to her name or whatever she pleases to put in there, but it's a very cute little heart charm that will dangle on the bottom. So also on the cover, we do have some ribbon here that I've layered with some burlap ribbon that I have as well, because it is the woods and it is, raw and, like I said, earthy tones and so on. I thought this one perfectly over top, and it does go over here. We do have 3 signatures, and it is bound in a pamphlet style, so the ribbon does go around and ends in the back here. For the closure, we do have the ribbon here that I've sewn on. And in the front, we also have the title in the Tim Holtz hardware. Very beautiful, really. I can't find any more or any other places something so nice to go on these journals. And the background here is just fabric. It is in this light green or teal color, very beautiful, actually perfect for this. I did age it up a bit because this is a vintage journal, and some upholstery fabric here with some earth tones that I found that I layered with muslin and so on. On the top, we do have lots of the yummy ruffles in all these different woodsy kind of colors that you'll find, green and blue and so on. And on the bottom too, a little bit as well, and lots of sewing tails on the bottom as well, whatever it is that I was sewing. And there is quite a bit of sewing. It's very thick here actually, so it's a little bit hard to see it, but on the top as well, some of these. And over here we do have a double tie here, and as well I do have lots of charms in here as well that we'll go through and see as we go through the pages of Wildwood. And there's I think over here butterfly, if you can see it, it's hidden in there, like the woods are, it's dark in the woods and so on, so it does have some darker colors. I remember as a child going through woods, it was always different, sometimes it was golden and sometimes it was dark, and sometimes light, depending of course on the sky as well. But woods are always very dear to me. I love to go roaming through them and seeing and discovering new and different things in there. So we'll go inside and see what's happening in Wildwood. Okay, so let's go inside this journal and see what we might discover in here. It is quite chock full with inserts and so on. I did have to scale it down a bit because it is a 3-inch spine and it wouldn't be enough. So anyways, I did try to scale it down a bit just so that everything that I have in mind would fit, and actually, what's most important to the story as well as the journal itself. Okay, so right here in the beginning, I do have a tag that is in the nature motif. It has birds and leaves and so on. The story does take place in Wildwood, Kentucky, in the Appalachian Mountains. And in the back, I will write a little note to the person who bought it. It does have this vintage fabric on top. And this will fit in this pocket right here. And then in this pocket here, in the beginning of the signature, we do have, first of all, this beautiful cardstock. It does have leaves on it that are a little bit shimmery, very beautiful, very pretty. And we do have an old postcard. And the postcard was from Wildwood, maybe sent to someone or was going to be sent of the woods. So there's a lot of imagery of the woods and play on the woods and so on. I did sew right through some of the trees, and just for a little bit of more texture on it. And I did put some cheesecloth here as maybe, dry leaves or something else, hay or something. So we'll put this back over here. And then on the top, of course, I have all these tabs, all the different kinds of fabrics that I could find. And in the beginning also here, we do have a little butterfly charm. So we do start the story on the second page here about Ruby Starling. She is returning to Wildwood, to the cabin where her family lived when she was little. She's returning there after 20 years, and I'll tell you shortly why. She hasn't had the heart to go back yet for the 20 years, and a time has come that she will return to her childhood home and see if it's still standing, first of all, and see if she can find anything in there that she can use to resolve some of her own inner regrets and emotions and so on. So this one is she's walking through the woods, trying to find her way back to the cabin. So I do have this one as well with some of the tactile, or if you want to call it, and items, and also a little birdie on the tree. Just some of these images are beautiful with the trees, but maybe for me, I'm always thinking it could have a little bit more, which it probably does, but that we don't normally see, because of course birds are fleeting, and some of the other little animals and so on that we don't usually notice. Now this is a pocket as well. It does have this ruffle on the back, but it is a pocket, and it does have a little journaling card here. Of course, everything's backed on coffee dyed paper, and it is this beautiful image. So I do have a few images that are from Mrs. Cogg's collections, and also some that I found myself of the 1800s paintings, some of them very beautiful imagery of woods and landscape. So this one is with a little creek, because there is a creek in Wildwood, and there is a river nearby as well. So this one has a little bit of that burlap ribbon that you saw on the front. Really very lovely. I like it a lot, just to feel something a little bit different other than the flatness of the paper. So not that we don't like the flatness of the paper. Of course, we love the paper any way it is, but adding a little bit something to it is also quite delicious. So in the back here, I do have a flip out. And of course, we have, like Wendy in Nova Scotia, I do love squirrels as well. So we do have a little squirrely here. And I do feed them every day. I know I shouldn't feed them peanuts every day because, well, I didn't know that it wasn't food. It was a treat. But I do feed them anyways. So in the bottom, I do have a little bit of a write-up just about woods and woodsy things. And over here, it says Wildwood. And I just left some lines on here. Now this journal is for a person who doesn't actually journal. She told me that she just likes to discover. And of course there's nothing wrong with that, because as we know, we love to do that as well. There's many of us who really just like the pages, to like the paper. I buy many notebooks that I don't write in because I like the cover. And now of course with the junk journals, they're it's not just the cover, it's what's inside as well. And I did put some things that possibly might motivate her to write. We'll see if she ever does. Maybe I'll hear from her, maybe I won't, I don't know. But I have tried also to see that if she might write in it. Just brief things, because it is filled with things. So there isn't a lot of journaling space for, you know, a lot of writing or pages and pages of writing. So that's not for somebody like that. So over here I did some stamping as well. And here I have a little bit about, you know, individual tree leaves and so on. And if you open it, it does tell you about what it is. And over here you can write a little if you wish. And over here as well. And then it's backed onto like fabric, a collage thing with fabric and paper and a bit of stamping on the sides. And everything is pretty well aged because, again, it is a vintage journal. This is a story that takes place in 1941. And Ruby is about 26 at the time. She's single. She works at a department store in Louisville, Kentucky. And she has come back now to Wildwood to discover what was so wonderful about her childhood and some things that she remembers from it. So she is rediscovering Wildwood, and a bit of the story here, and some elk and deer here. And this is a little pocket. It's empty, but you can put something in it. Again, a lot of burlap and raw materials and so on. A little bit of the story. And over here is a journaling card, also the story here, and a little bit of vintage lace here. So a little bit woods imagery and back tone to ledger paper. It's just the perfect color. Ledger is always good. So here she comes upon the cabin. It is still standing, and it is in the woods, and beautiful, beautiful setting. Over here for a cabin, and with lots of trees and greenery. And of course there's the creek nearby as well. Very beautiful scenery as well. And so here, this pocket, and it does have the leaf charm on the bottom. So this is a fabric pocket with some fabric on top here as well with the green. And then inside, backed onto journal paper. A little bit different one, I think, than the other one, but still in that same color scheme. So this is Ruby when she was 5. This is when she left Wildwood, unfortunately, due to unfortunate circumstances. We do have some lace on top. This is just regular lace, and this is vintage lace that I got from Vintage Journal Studios from Stephanie. Thank you, Stephanie. And I do use it quite a bit in different things, little bits at a time. Backed onto coffee stained paper. And so this is the cabin. This is an 1800s painting, just beautiful with the cabin, and they had chickens, and this is maybe how she remembers it, how it was in a little chicken coop, I guess, and the house with the window, or the cabin with the window. It says our home, Wildwood, Kentucky. So this is maybe a photo that she's keeping or that she finds in the cabin at this point. So over here is the middle of the first signature. I'm still to do the beads over here, and it does have the woodland motif here with woods and flowers. And this is something that I added on again with the flower there, and as well with the mushroom. Now over here, inside we have Ruby with her brother Vincent. This is maybe a photo again she finds in the cabin, or how she remembers it. He's a little bit younger, a couple of years, and she was often looking after him and so on. And again, backed with coffee stained paper, and a little notebook here as well for a little bit of writing or scribbles or some highlights, you know, not a lot, but maybe some sketches or something. And also some woodsy fabric on top as well. And on the other side, I have another journaling card with a bit of the woods, and also an owl in the night with the moonlight. Of course, woods are also very beautiful at night. All the blues and purples that you get at night during moonlight, just something, of course, you don't see at home. So the ribbons on the side here and fabrics and so on are, you know, a green, beige or brownish, everything that might be in the woodsy color. Here's some beads on the bottom, and journaling card with some berries. Her mother often picked berries, and the kids pick berries as well, and she remembers that very well. Just some writing paper, coffee stained, just feels very good even just to touch. And over here we have a snail, and it does actually talk about the Smokies here and so on. So I left this page as it is just because, well, yeah, there's lots of snails in the woods. And here's a beautiful image of misty woods, maybe after the rain or before the rain, but anyways, oftentimes that happens in the woods, and it's beautiful actually to take pictures in such atmosphere. And over here on this page, we have a little bit of fabric here, and then just a little bit of writing paper, and just some of the threads in green on ledger paper. And on the back here is a little bit more of the story. And she does say that she's looking at the cabin and the garden is overrun. And she does recall the walnut tree that was there and the creek nearby, so that is all still there. And over here on this side we have an elk and this beautiful tab in purple and some stampings. And as well inside is a little pocket here with, if I can get it out, a little booklet. It is printed on vellum, the cover, with a plant here and a little tree on this side. And then some papers to write on it as well. In the middle we have a little bit of more paintings of woods. It is like a flip out, a little bit of writing space in the back, just in case it's needed, and this one as well. So that will go back over here. So lots of little notebooks, of course, just in case she does decide to write, or perhaps maybe she sketches something. Now this is, she talks about the window at the cabin that she recalls, and maybe this is a bit of the fabric that's still there, or that she remembers. It is this very, very soft mesh type fabric that I have that is actually in the background here as well. And so behind it is this window. It is empty here, but you can tuck in something as well in the back here. So there are lots of little spaces where you can still put in some things. And over here is Tim Holtz a safety pin with a little bit of beads, and the ruffle in the back here, a little bit of stamping and so on. So over here I do have, first of all, a bird and a bigger writing space, or you can put a photo here. Also a little bit of just the words, stone fence, rock, valley, and then perhaps you might write something to it. It's like a little prompt. We'll see. And then on this side is this beautiful tree that I also added some tactile things you can see here, Verde and so on, and rocks, and so some different things. These are just supposed to be like the branches and maybe some leaves on it as well. And then over here we have a tag and a beautiful spot again for maybe a larger photo. And this is a little bit of a map. It says Lexington here in this case, and about from Kentucky, some different things, or maybe some different places that Ruby has been to. And then this is just a little paper thingy for a date or something like that. On the next page, now we have here this beautiful pocket with a photo of a birch tree. So that is the end of the first signature, and there's that a little bit sparkly leaves there as well. So here is Ruby herself. She is now, like I said, about 26, and she's discovering everything about the woods and trying to actually live the life, because she has quit her job at the department store and she will try to live for a while. She has a bit of money and in the woods to see how it was, how life was when they lived there and when she lived there as a child. So Ruby Starling, that's her. And then that's the cabin again, just a little bit close up as well. And she's discovering a lot of things inside as well that might help her to deal with her past. And this is just some writing, and it is from an authentic envelope that I found and just put it on this paper. And so I do have like a box full of old letters and envelopes that I got once upon a time, and they're just beautiful to have and use in different projects that I have going on. So I'm so very glad and very lucky to have had that. Now this is the second signature, and this is a botanical paper here with some green ribbon. And here we have woods at night, of course, during the moonlight, and maybe a bonfire. Maybe she remembers that. Maybe they did do that at night. And this beautiful kind of greenish blue paper in the back that I got from dyeing paper from cabbage leaves. Quite in the same tone as this moonlight here. And then over here is a little tag. It is just stampings of lilacs, which are actually blooming outside my door right now. And I'm going to have to go and sit there and inhale their beautiful scent. And just as soon as I'm done. And here in the back as well. So everything's kind of greenish, painted a little bit greenish, and then stamped over top. So we'll just put this back over here. And in the back of here, in this second signature, we do have here a beautiful spot again to put her own imagery of woods or anything to do with the story, or however she feels to use it. Now this is on Tim Holtz cardstock, a map of the world that I made into a little booklet. And inside here is some things that Ruby will find as she goes back through Wildwood and through the cabin. So first of all, the woods, of course, just everywhere she looks are the woods because they're in the middle of it on a hill in Appalachia. So over here we have some things like her mother's water basin where she maybe in the morning was washing her face and so on. And then over here is a blanket that she might have found there by the fireplace or log burning stove. And also some utensil that she might have found that might still be usable. She might have to clean it up really well, but they might still be usable. So she's going to make do with whatever she finds there. And there's some pots as well. So these are just printed on photo paper, but that I aged up a little bit. And then over here is also, just because it's green, I did include this envelope as well. And inside is a little bit of an old letter. And on the back, it can be written on or put something else or scribbled on or, sketched on or something. So I'm just showing this because my aunt likes to read what it says on here, and my mother as well. They watch these videos because these are their letters that I got from my mom. So we'll put this back here. Very handy little folder, actually. This is a sample of wallpaper that I have as well, and I think I'll be doing this again probably because it's just so handy to keep things organized in here. Now on this side we have woods at night and very beautiful blues and so on. We do have a little bat here, if you can see him. Of course, bats are very hard to be seen anyways. All you see is a little flutter. So of course I did put some fabrics and cheesecloths on top of it, so it's a little bit hard to see, but that is exactly how it is, right? And in the back I do have, first of all, we do have a charm here of the moon. I should show you. It's also cute. So this is a photo by the moonlight and with the moon right there shining through. And here I have a little flip out or envelope that you open with little maybe of a ribbon snippet, if you want to call it. So anyways, just whatever I had left over that might fit in here. And inside, so there's lots of places where you might have to look inside kind of to see if there's anything there. So this is the little brown bat, so a little bit of a write-up about the bat, and just some of this beautiful cabbage stained leaves paper. So that can be hidden in here to maybe write some kind of a secret message. You don't normally see it right away. Now this one, of course, mushrooms all over the woods, but this one is particularly Old Man of the Woods mushroom. Very beautiful in the browns and beiges and so on. So this is authentic ephemera. A lot of this is authentic ephemera from books I have. I do have quite a lot of books. And more of the story in the back here. And more of the mushrooms as well. So this is like an index card that you can write in the back or whatever, or just read the story. So this one says she does realize if she was to live there, she'd have to do a lot of cleanup, but she was already making plans to do so, and she knew that she was home again. So she does feel for this place. The feelings are coming back to her. It's just that something happened in the past that she will need to get over. So over here on this page, I have a little bit of a poem about the woods, and this is fabric, this beautiful fabric around here, and some of the cabbage stained paper collage, and beads here as well, and a little bit of a bow on top, and just a beautiful image of the woods as well here. Actually, I thought it was a pocket, but maybe not. Okay, so just a little bit of an image. And here is with berries from a book from Edith Holden. It is a flip out with these beautiful images that she does, these beautiful paintings. So, of course, lots of, you know, plants and roots and berries that are to be had in the woods, but you need to know which ones. So Ruby's going to have to learn all this, probably from her mother in some way, how to use the berries and which ones are good and which ones perhaps are not so good. So a little bit of the story here. Now here on this side, I did for the first time use some real plant specimen, like a pressed leaf. Pressed leaf. Actually, I was eco-dyeing the paper with the leaves on it, and it just kind of stuck to it, and then I put a little piece of plastic over it, and that's how it stayed. And it's just beautiful. I mean, this is something that the way it's flipped over and so on, that's something that people try to draw over and over. And here is a little bit of a, I believe, let me see, Australian stamp with some plants on it as well. And then this is a fabric pocket that I stained with something green, maybe spinach or something. I remember doing that. And then some vintage fabric here with this little tiny embroidery and so on. Very beautiful. And inside is a tag, and it does have some fabric on the bottom and depiction of woodland things, and maybe somebody looks like sowing some seeds. And in the back I put something you can write on. And this is also ledger paper, just a little bit different, more beigeish, but also very beautiful and very, very delicate and soft. So in here we have more different green and a little bit of shiny from a scarf and so on. So beautiful beigeish writing ledger paper. And here as well in the back we have some maybe chestnut tree, I believe, or not chestnut tree, a walnut tree with the walnuts inside. And then here we have a little bit of fabric on top of this beautiful painting of woods, and as well Ruby, she's enjoying the woods, of course, trying to calm her nerves and trying to think about how she will deal with her past here and what she will find, and if she will find anything or any relief to what is in her heart. Over here, she did find a photograph of her brother, I guess once upon a time, her brother Vincent, in Wildwood while they lived there. This is an authentic photo. And in the back here, some leaves. And here is a little a charm, actually, well, not so little, a little bit bigger, actually. It's hard to find bigger charms of an owl. So, of course, lots of owls in the woods. Very beautiful. And here, too, I have that same little piece of paper with pressed leaf, and then just a postage stamp with leaves as well. And then some different inserts here. So I will see how I will be mailing this. I will have to declare that I have some pressed leaves. I was trying to find out from Gibbet, because she was researching that as well. I did ask her for some help on that, so she was very gracious to give me some help about how to mail some woodland specimens without having any tree matter. Anyhow, this is a little fold out, and it is, you know, that cashier's tape that I used, and I did first spray it with some ink, purple ink, and then also I coffee dyed it afterwards, and it's just beautiful. And you can have it as long as you want. And I found quite a few of these rolls at a vintage or thrift store, and I picked it up thinking I'm going to do something, and so here it is. And then I did do some different sewings on top here just for some more interest, but the purple is quite beautiful already, and here as well. So very vintagey looking. And here as well, we have, of course, a little bear. This is from a painting, and I know it is out there, but also I believe I got it from Mrs. Coggs from the Into the Forest kit. And so, of course, you'll come upon bears. Sometimes there is some danger. You might come upon a wolf. Maybe Martin is, you know, just going by Kentucky on his way to Montana from Wolfology. And so you do have to be careful too. So woods can be wonderful and gentle and safe, and also a little bit dangerous. That's probably the beauty of it. And so I will put this back in here. Okay, so this one is fabric here as well. And then more of that Edith Holden also. And looks like it is from the walnut tree. Beautiful. And yeah, here as well. So that's a tree that's right in front of her cabin that she remembers, and it's still there. Of course, it's huge now, but anyhow, just a little collage on this page. So not a lot of empty pages in here, you know, completely empty. This is probably as empty as it will get. I always still put something a little bit for interest. This one I have a tiny piece of this fabric. It is a fabric with trees on it. Beautiful, beautiful evergreen trees. And so I was just perfect actually for this little spot here to put on top of a little bit of a notebook that I have here. And then underneath there is more of the story and so on. So here's a little bit more mushrooms. And whatever write-up she will need to, Ruby will need to read this and know which mushrooms are safe to eat and so on. And here's a little bit at night, looks like kind of the bonfire, and more ledger paper. And here is a little booklet with a vintage image from a book. It is, again, authentic. And here I did stamp up. I do have a stamp with woods, and it came out very, very vintage. I love it. And then inside is just another little booklet. So there's lots of little booklets with fabric all over, and some interesting images and so on. Over here is woods at night again too. This is beautiful. Moon right coming right through the trees, and illuminating this owl that I put on there myself, and just some fabric and sewing around for some tactile. But just beautiful with the moon coming through, peeking through the woods, as we know, happens every night. Hopefully every night, well, except when it's cloudy. And here's a little bit of empty space for either a photo writing and more of the story. So she does remember that Wildwood was a place where days were golden and nights lit by moonlight, and she slept like a log for the first few nights because it was just so serene and calming and wonderful. So coming from the city into the woods, although there is, it's not completely silent in the woods either. It's better than in the city, but there are lots of night noises in the woods. However, they're very calming, much more calming than a sound of a car or a train, that's for sure. So over here is the end of the second signature, and a little booklet here as well. It's here it's like a letter with an actual postage stamp, and in the back I just put, these are not real, but I just put here a little bit of, maybe because your father was a painter, a little bit of maybe some samples of color that he might be using for his inspiration for painting. So now this one does have some stamping here, lines for writing, and this is one of those notebooks with the different size pages that I do, what I call petal notebooks. Just as soon as you bend it a little bit, it will pop like a little flower. Really, just so cute and just a little bit different, I guess. And so over here is a little poem about woods as well. And over here in the third signature, more of the woods at night. Also a very beautiful image that I found in a book. Black and white, but it's very, very intriguing. And then here's some beautiful, I believe this is Tim Holtz paper. And in the back, she did find a painting of her mother that she did find an attic, in a tiny attic in the cabin, but there is an attic with some stored things and her father's paintings. And so here she found, this is, her mother's name is Ruby Starling, and her father's name was Jack. So Louise is sitting somewhere in the woods, and Jack was inspired to paint. She was very beautiful, and this is a beautiful, beautiful 1800s painting of this woman sitting in the woods and just imagining, maybe either dreaming about the woods or maybe dreaming about different places. I don't know at this point. So a little bit more about her father and her brother and so on here. I have this little tiny clip. Okay. And here's a little snippet that I made of the different things that I had left over. Actually, you can make them long or whatever, but I just made it just the size of this, and just to go on top of this piece where you can put a photo or, a paper clipping or so on. So just whatever I had left over that was in the woodsy theme, it goes right here. So over here, we have a little butterfly as well. And on top of this ribbon, and lots of tabs still and so on, ribbon throughout. And I don't know if I missed any other charms, but over here in this pocket, of course, we have more woods, and here's some mushrooms and so on. So I did paint over this. You know what? I missed a page, I believe. Yes, I did. Okay, so I missed a page over here. Is a pocket is empty this time, so you can put in something, and a little bit of lines that I did here. And over here is a painting of woods that I put this beautiful postage stamp, I believe from Australia, that has trees on it, just so beautiful, that I layer on top of fabric, and just for more interest. And then I have these little threads in the same color practically that will go here, and then a little bit more here. So on the back of that, I did use the rest of that paper or painting, and I put some mushrooms on top to make a pocket. So Wildwood was just as I remembered it, and so maybe a little prompt again, and woods here as well, and some writing paper in the back with some lines. And then over here, some ledger paper, here graph paper as well. And this is a belly band from fabric, and some of that vintage lace on top, or ribbon. So this is her father, maybe that she remembers carrying a Christmas tree in winter. And this is maybe a little bit of like a notebook that he might have had about leaves and whatever he might have written in there. And there's a little notebook inside here, so with some papers and a fabric top. And just some things maybe that he might have scratched down. This almost, I did stamp this up, but it almost looks like a bark a little bit. Anyways, so that's something she might want to keep as well, with her father's picture on there. And then here, Wildwood and more ledger paper and some of these ribbons. And then here, some mushrooms where I put a little mouse on and a birdie on top of that painting. And with some fabric and ribbons and so on. A little bit shiny ones as well. And in the back is another little poem. And here I stamped up some woods here in the word and a little pocket here. It's got some beads on top as well. And then over here, in one of my other favorites is a raccoon. I did have a baby raccoon once that I raised for about 3 months. Of course, I shouldn't have had him, but he was just so cute. Actually, it was a she, and we named her little Charlie after my husband. And because he saved her life, my daughter, and he saved her life. And she grew up very fast and became wild pretty fast. And we did take her to wildlife refugee where they taught her a little bit more and then probably released her into the wild. I don't know what's happened. That was quite a few years ago. But she was very, very cuddly, very sweet as a baby. And so a little bit of burlap and a twine in the back here. And over here is an elk and some mushroom journaling card. And over here a tag with some plants. Then here we have also another one of those little sample of petals. And as well, I just put in this bee. I think I got this from the Graphics Fairy. And this beautiful, beautiful dies, eco dies that I got from the petals in the back. Just beautiful beiges and yellow and purple and so on. And a little bit more of the story. And here we have a little butterfly. Actually, he almost looks like he's gonna fly away. And just on top of this, a little bit of a writing spot, just in case she decides to write. And in the back also, Wildwood. I just remind you where we are all the time, just so you don't forget, we're in Wildwood, Kentucky. So, over here, some more of the woods. And here as well, with some more writing paper or, you know, sketch paper. More of this beautiful ledger, green ledger paper that I have. And in the back, another belly band here. And she did find a sketchbook of her father's. So I'm going to open this to show you. So this is something that she will treasure, of course, her father's sketchbook. So this is something that he might have sketched first and then painted. And this looks like maybe that could be his wife, Louise, or her mother, going through the woods. She's wearing a lovely white dress. Of course, I know that, you know, people always try to look their best, no matter what the circumstances, no matter where they live. So they did try to look very nice. Now, initially, Louise comes from an affluent family, but she fell in love with a boy from the market. So that's how she ended up in the woods, because she truly was in love and wanted to be with him. So she ran off against her parents' wishes. So here she is, maybe in a garden or somewhere else with Ruby as well, that he painted. So it's Louise and Ruby. And inside is like a booklet like this with some sketch paper. And then his note paper, whatever notes he might have made. And this is authentic letter. And here again, just some fabrics and things just for color that he might have used for inspiration in his paintings. So I will put this back on later. That goes here. And then here is a little prompt again, and an empty pocket for the owner to put something in, and a little mouse as well. Woodland mouse. And then here's a little bead. And then this beautiful image in the back. This painting is just gorgeous, of this beautiful sunshine coming through the woods, just like the moonlight. The sunshine too comes right through and bathes the trees in golden yellows and so on. It's just beautiful. Like, I want to be there right now. If I could just snap my finger, or as my grandson says, abracadabra. And over here I did sew in some lines. And here is an unusual painting with these stairs going up through the woods, going maybe far away. This might have some meaning later, I'm not sure yet. And then just a little envelope, aged envelope that she might have found there. Maybe in a, in a trunk in the attic, and some old paper to write on. And so yeah, these stairs, possibly she might have to be looking for these stairs. We don't know yet where they are in the woods, but I think I will keep that idea. And then here's another snippet as well. Just so pretty with the different colors and so on. And so over here is Ruby. She has discovered her mother's journal, and maybe some letters and so on that she's reading. And over here is maybe something that Louise wrote herself, A.K. me. Actually, I put it over here. I wrote this poem. So I put my name here. It is about the woods of my childhood. You can probably read it right through here. I do recall we did have woods in the back of our house back in Croatia, and I did go there often with my friends to play, and we just went throughout all the woods running around, and it was just so beautiful and always safe. And on occasion, if I went a little bit more at night, or if it was dark, it became at least looking like it was dangerous. Maybe not necessarily. We didn't really encounter anything that was a danger to us, but it was just a little more spookier and a little bit more interesting and so on. We did still go in. We did do dares, and we did go in. And but mostly just playing, cowboys and Indians, and playing, hide and seek, and just sitting around and just spending time in the woods. So this is a little poem that I wrote about the woods of my childhood. So that's the first maybe poem that I wrote. I don't know if I ever wrote any other poems. I do write some stories, obviously, because I'm having stories in these journals, but I haven't actually done too many poems. Here's a key maybe to the diary that she found as well. So she's starting to read now. And as we come to the end of the third signature and the journal, we come to a very interesting part, actually. The story just beginning. Now, this is a picture that she found of her mother when she was younger, of Louise. This is Louise Starling when she was younger. And she might have, as well, Ruby has a story about having to come to terms with what's happened with her mother, who has disappeared when she was 5 years old. Her father, Jack, told her and her brother Vincent that the mother might have drowned in the river, or maybe an animal got her. They never did find her, but he did have to put sort of an end to it and a close, because she was not coming back, and took the kids to the city, to Louisville, where they lived. And then eventually her father did get sick, and she had to arrange for him to be in a home. So he's still alive, but he's in a home. And her brother went off to the Marines. So, and she got a job at the department store, and she had a little apartment and so on, that she now gave up all that to come back and live in the woods and possibly find out what really happened to her mother. And Louise's journal is quite beautiful on its own. And it is a whole journal with quite a few pages in it. And it has a little ribbon here that it's kept together on. And over here in the front, we have, this is on vellum paper, a little bit of a tree, of course, for Wildwood. And then her mother loved dragonflies, so there's a beautiful dragonfly here, and as well as a little dragonfly charm. And here is a beautiful little crochet. Her mother might have done crochet, or maybe her mother did crochet that she kept. And this is my mother's crochet wreath that I put on top here. And as actually in the front also I have just to show you quickly, over here is also a wreath that just kind of frames this frame here. So just beautifully a little bit offset with the beiges here with a little bit of pink. So Ruby's now going to discover her own mother's journal. And as we open it up, here's a picture of Louise in her Sunday best that her husband maybe took or painted. And she, of course, is in the woods. And in the back, we have a little bit of a recipe, actually. So here goes with this is a little bit of an entry into her journal that is from June 2nd, 1919. And it was a good day, and found some fresh blackberries to make blackberry cobbler. And she misses Vincent. She took Ruby and Vincent for a walk in the woods, and she misses Jack. She misses Jack because Jack usually went out of the woods into the city to find work, to bring home some money and some food and so on. So here Louise has a picture of herself and Ruby and baby Vincent at the time. Maybe Ruby was here at 3. Maybe they had a swing in the back, so this little belly band with fabric here. And then here we have a Kentucky blackberry cobbler recipe that I got from the net. So in case maybe the owner wants to try it. And okay, so on the next page, we also have Louise with Ruby here. They're picking maybe I don't know, something on top here, some flowers or something, and just put a little bit of ribbon on top here, and in the back a little bit of writing space and some more fabric, and then woods and what it could be, such as wild, owlish, seamless, whatever words that I come up with for woods, and then a little bit behind tracing paper, not real but some flowers here. And then over here I found beautiful picture of woods. Maybe she took that, or maybe Jack took it, and the hickory forest. And it is actually an actual authentic ephemera from a book, and it is about southern Appalachian forest, so that certainly is something that should be in here. And then a little tag with a woodland theme that you can write in the back, and then Emily Carr poem about the woods, collaged here on some different fabrics. This beautiful blue here also. And over here, whatever maybe Louise was collecting, wood lily, whatever was her favorite, owls and mushrooms and so on. A little bit collaged again on fabric. And then here is maybe a postcard she had and another authentic photograph. This we would call Green River, and they often went to swim there. This is the river that maybe Jack was referring to, that possibly she may have drowned and possibly why she didn't come back. So over here, just some collage papers in the middle of this journal, just bound here by this ribbon. And this is just some more writing paper. And here, a little bit with the title Wildwood. And a little pocket here with some stamping. And a little bit of, you know how I love little paper. So a little bit of stamping on this very aged, beautifully aged paper that opens up, of course. And, you know me, just love this. So you will find, you know, things like this always in my journals. So this will go in here. And then this also opens up and you have more of that beautiful fabric here. And a tab here and another little booklet over here. So, and this is printed on vellum. Just some maybe plants that she was keeping notes on as far as, you know, what to use and what not to use. In the back here also a little bit more collaging, and then woods are not only trees, they are, well, perhaps the owner will fill in something, just a little prompt, or it can just stay as it is, it doesn't matter. And then here's a Canadian stamp with an elk on it and an old actual envelope. part of an envelope that I cut out the address because I'd like to show the actual address, and I just stamped it up a bit. But inside it does have something. So let's see what is in here. So here we have a little bit of a letter. It does mention Vince's name, Vince, in here, so I used that part. Maybe something that Vincent wrote back or something about Vincent. We don't know yet what. And then here is an actual, it was a piece of a check, so I just used the part with the numbers on it. That might show that maybe Jack, was sending some money back or to Louise to use or bring him back when he came back from work, wherever he was at. And here as well, just a little bit, just because this was an invitation, an actual invitation. Sorry, I'm always out of view first. And then it did show, it just so happens, I couldn't believe it, that in one of the wedding invitations, there was a few in this big box of Jack, actually, not his. The letters were from him, but the box was from Sandy. He was so in love with Sandy. Anyways, in that box is an invitation to a wedding in Louisville, Kentucky. So I included this because, well, it has to be in here because something to do with Louisville. Maybe something that Ruby kept of some friend of hers or something like that. So in the back is here more of the mountains or the meadow in Appalachia. And more write-up about that. I left that just because, well, you can read a little bit about it. And then this is maybe something Jack painted or took a photo of. Probably painted Louise picking flowers. Just beautiful. This is from Mrs. Coggs, some of the images. And over here is a little glassine envelope. And in the envelope, so we have Jack here. Maybe this is how Louise fell in love with him. I don't know. He looks pretty young. He's got a little, maybe a puppy with him or something that he's holding. So this is an actual photo, but I did write on a Jack Starling from 1918. And it is a photo from the 40s, so it is pretty vintage. And then a little bit of that fabric, mesh fabric, and a little notebook as well. And then the owner can also add some other things into the envelope as she pleases. Just, of course, for the crinkliness of this. As we know, we love glassine envelopes. Okay, so I'll put this back in here. And then in the back here, so this is the end of it. In the back, she's got a bit of a quilt. Maybe this is her grandma's quilt even. This is September 1921. Maybe something's supposed to happen in September. I don't know why I chose September, but of course her mother disappeared in May of 1921. So, but the journal is from before that. So maybe something was ahead. We don't know what yet. Anyhow, so this is a beautiful quilt. Actually, it is an actual quilt piece that somebody never used that I got from a thrift shop. And it was just this little piece that just fits so perfectly here. So anyways, here we have some woodland images that was put on a card. And over here in this belly band, just before I show you that, just because it's pretty interesting, let me just show you what's in here. Okay, another envelope with a Canadian Rio stamp. This looks like a Christmas stamp, but it does have trees on it. Very pretty with the greens and blues. And it is stamped up. And then inside, actually this is pretty interesting too. I should show you the other one. Okay, so just a little bit of paper, writing paper. And then some notes. Something about a bus depot. So these are some of the clues that Ruby will use to find out what's happened to her mother. It won't be resolved in this journal. This is obviously something that will continue as well. It's only a matter of time, so I included this. It's only a matter of time. So Louise had this picture that shows a city, port. So maybe this is somewhere where she lived or where she aspired to live. Did she run off with somebody else? Did she go back to her parents? What happened to Louise? We don't really know at the moment, but she has a map here as well of something. It has number 14 on it. And so these are some of the things that maybe Ruby will be trying to discover what they mean. So certainly maybe Louise had some other life, or she aspired to something other than living in the woods. And so over here, the last thing to show you is this beautiful letter, authentic letter, that is from Jack. It's even signed, Love, Jack. And then my dearest love, again, I sit here writing you, hoping that these letters reach you soon. So he's somewhere missing his wife, missing his family, but he has to, you know, work to get some money to put food on the table and so on. And maybe he was somewhere in Illinois. I don't know, possibly in Illinois, because he put some address there. And he, you know, he does talk about how much he misses them and loves them and so on. So a beautiful letter. I did age it up a little bit because it was very well preserved, but it is on this beige kind of paper, and it is an old letter, and well, we'll just have to see if Jack maybe remembers something more, or is there something that Jack is not telling Ruby about their mother. So this is Wildwood. It does have a pocket here as well. I'll put my business card in here, and so that goes in the back. So this is another journal that is completed and will be mailed off soon. And I hope to make more. Of course, I have more wolfology to continue, more fortune teller. Really, I can go many different places. I can go to Montana, I can go to Virginia, I can go to Kentucky. I haven't been to Canada yet, so I'll have to do a series in Canada as well. So this is the first installment of Wildwood. Hopefully there will be more, either for the same customer or maybe another customer. It doesn't really matter as long as somebody enjoys it. So thank you for coming back again and seeing my newest creation, and hopefully you'll you know, be by again sometime to see what is next. So I appreciate it. Thanks again, and have a good day. And this is Rosie from RoseByNameCo. Bye bye.